Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
So we're going to talk about CIE and the Green Agenda.
Yeah, CIE is reported as going to pay 30 million to make some buses electric. And this 30 million doesn't grow on trees. And as far as I know, I thought CIE were subsidised by the government. But maybe the buses are making a profit, for all I know.
No, usually CIE makes a loss.
It does, but I wonder is that the trains that do that. But the buses, in any event, are always full, so it's difficult to know what way the situation is there. Information in that area is scarce to come by.
Well, in all the media reports right through the last 30 years, I have never ever seen a CIE ever in Dublin bus make a profit. Okay,
No.
And if you look at most public bus services around the world, including Poland, okay,
Yeah.
they all make a loss. Poland privatised theirs, and now it's a complete disaster.
Of course it is.
So you
Well,
can't privatise the bus
Not
service.
at all. You've got to, you've done it in Britain and made a cut of it. But this crowd always copies that crowd instead of copying the continent. They don't do that kind of thing. They just provide the service and don't whinge about having to subsidise it. It needs to be subsidised for the common good. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Now, and same as you pay taxes for the common good, if they only do the common good. But CIE parking out 30 million, the Green Agenda. Now, the Green Agenda, will be doing something else about it in another video, so I won't say too much about it at this point in time. But an excellent article in Tourist to Us, which is actually printed in Cork and operated by Cork clergy and lay people. And it says, the thing, climate hysteria, peddling bad science and senseless economics. An excellent article. I'll probably do it a bit more when we talk about Elon Musk later. This is another example of the Green Agenda inflicting costs, because if CIE are forking out 30 million or have to borrow it, you can guarantee fares will go up for those people that are paid for their transport. When you retire, like I am, and you're in your winter year of life, we have free travel thanks to Charlie Haughey. But Labour Party and all these other ones, crypto socialists, made it then available for all sorts of other people that you'd have to pay, people that are even come from other jurisdictions that are able to be entitled to free travel, and it was never meant for them. You go to their countries and you certainly don't get free travel. Mm-hmm. So why should it be offered to them here? People that are here should pay for their travel and pay for other things that apparently they're getting free as well. So it's just that it doesn't happen in other countries, because if it did, they wouldn't be able to manage.
Well, if you look at Bus Éireann, right? Bus Éireann now seems to be like they provide a great service, but the only people you will see on Bus Éireann, and we've done a video on this before, I think, the only people you will see is the elderly, free travel, which is perfect. Okay. You see lots of them getting on the Bus Éireann and going around the country, okay? And they have a great life, which is the way it should be.
Especially ones that never went anywhere. They're exploring the country, but then I was in every village and town in the country, so I don't need to do anything like that.
You do see the odd few students on a Friday, but a lot of students now are driving cars. They're driving mummy and daddy's cars. We're living in different times. So if you look in the 1990s, okay, when Ireland was in poverty, I was studying marketing and I'd done a project on Bus Éireann, okay? And Bus Éireann was one of the most profitable companies in Ireland. It was making millions. But the reason it was making millions was because they didn't have to pay the VAT on the fuel. There was something like that at the time, I remember.
Which was right.
Yeah. So there was something about the fuel was subsidised, and then what was happening was they put all the little operators out of business. by doing that because they could undercut the small fella like Bill O'Mahony was in Kerry.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they put him out of business, but they put a lot of little operators out of business anyway, okay? And now, of course, there's a reversal. Now, Bus Air makes a loss, okay? And the only thing they have it on now is silver-haired people. And they're all going around the country, okay? Okay?
You can't blame them.
You can't blame them. So what you see is it's become a service now for elderly people and people with disabilities, okay? And they're not making any money from it, okay? If you go on a bus from Dublin, say, to Kerry, right, you'll be lucky to see a handful of paying customers. That's the way it is, okay?
Well, that's the way it is.
That's the way it is.
Because I've heard of people now, I've never indulged in it because I don't need to. But they're often getting on the train and going up to Belfast or down to Cork or some other place and having a coffee or whatever they might have and back again.
Yeah.
But you see, they never saw these places.
They never saw
I
these
was
places.
in all these blinking cities and Limerick and Cork and Galway and all these, so I know them like the palm of my hand. So there's no point in me going on trains to look at a place. But if a fella never went anywhere, and some of them didn't go anywhere because they only had bicycles.
Yeah.
When I was young, it was a bicycle. The cars was as scarce as hen's teeth.
Yeah.
So you couldn't have a car. And my father never had a car. He had a hopper bicycle. Not even a rally. Not even one with a dynamo and a 3-speed gear. You know what I'm saying?
That's
This is what the poor devils had around on bicycles. And they might just do an odd check to make sure you had a light in your bicycle. You know, you weren't going around sort of kind of going by the moon or something like that at night time, you know, and it was cloudy. You didn't know where you were. But I was often cycling in the dark because it was a bicycle. And when I was in Dublin then, I got the father to send up my bicycle. He sent it up on the train and I collected it at the North Wall. And then I was able to cycle around.
Yeah.
You know, so this is what we were doing.
But-
Cars we weren't cars. We never thought we'd ever reach to a car unless we got one for nothing.
Yeah, the thing about go back to the batteries for a second. We were talking about the battery operated buses and the 30 million and the whole lot. Wouldn't it be better if they put the 30 million into something far better than batteries?
Of course they would, because they're that stupid. Sure, the electric cars cause more pollution with all these batteries. They have to be replaced at a great cost. And with new batteries.
Like I even seen an article the other day, and they were talking about something very different. It was the solar panels on houses, right?
Yes.
And what they're saying is now that there's going to be a scrap heap, a mountain of them within 10 to 15 years, and they don't know what to do with them. That they now have to start establishing recycling companies that specialise in recycling these things, because there's going to be so much of them in another 10
And
years.
what's wrong with it? They're not doing their job.
No, they're doing the job, but I think they have a life cycle of about 10 or 15 years, and then they have to be
right.
dumped.
I didn't know that.
And so you're going to have a mountain of them. And so they're talking about...
You see, they're advertising all these things and making out as the bee's knees. And you see some new houses that are already supplied with them.
Yeah.
And they'll be paying, of course, for them extra. And now they're building houses without any of that. And these houses are A-rated, according to my cousin. Now, I don't know if he's an expert on these type of things, but with these ones that are so much insulated, so they're obviously like coffins to my way of thinking, because if they're that insulated, you're going to get nothing but asthma.
Yeah.
Because you need a draft. When we were growing up, there was breezes coming in everywhere. Down chimneys and with the windows, no matter what way you try to put paper on them to stop them rattling. What would be coming in?
So would you give a thumbs down or thumbs up to the CIE initiative?
It would be thumbs down straight away, because this is adding expense. And this is all this green agenda does, is add expense to the cost of living. Supposing when they're going in these buses, suddenly they run out of power. And so you're in the bus and you're stranded in the middle of nowhere maybe.
The thing is, you can imagine a bus. Now think of the weight of a bus and the size of a bus.
And the
You
number
can
of
imagine the size of the batteries.
Well, this is it.
They must be massive.
I mean, they put 30 million, but it might be more like a hell of a lot more than that, because they'll have to put in charges here and there for these buses. And how long will it last? Because most cars don't go any more than a couple of 100 kilometres.
What I'd be very interested to see, and I'd be very concerned about, okay, is the safety, right? If you look at some electric bikes at the moment, right, okay, and electric scooters, they're exploding in people's houses, okay, and they're setting fire to the houses, right?
Yeah,
so if you have a bus loaded, okay, with a mountain of batteries inside it, okay, how safe is it? I don't know.
Oh, precisely. How
And I
safe
think
is it?
if there was an accident, if there's ever an accident that the batteries explode or whatever happens, that will bring an end to the whole electric bus era.
Well, you see, it's the sort of thing that they're doing without considering the consequences and the repercussions and the cost of actually doing it. And because we think it's a green agenda, but it's actually causes more pollution than what they say. And they don't study these things, and there's been studies done on it in Germany of all places, and they find that the electric causes more pollution than that.
Well, what it does as well is if you go back to Nokia, the phone, the mobile phone company in the 1990s. Okay, so Nokia was so popular. So for the batteries, for all the different minerals they needed, they had to mine them in Africa. Okay, but what it actually created was thousands of people were killed in Africa because the tribes were fighting to get their hands on the minerals. So our batteries that we're making here could be causing wars elsewhere and misery elsewhere.
So it's a very short-sighted, stupid, ignorant way of doing things, and the Green Party would need to be stopped from this madness that they're inflicting on people. We'll be doing more than a little bit about it later on.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Albert.